I'm going to do another example of how to do Gaussian elimination. I thought it'd be good to see another one and be able to stop it and look at it if you wanted to. So here's a system of three equations with three unknowns I thought we would use. I have x plus 4y plus 6z is equal to negative 5. I have 2x plus y minus z is equal to 9. And I have 3x minus y plus 5z is equal to negative 2. All right, so step one, anytime I'm trying to do Gaussian elimination, is to change my equations into an augmented matrix. So my augmented matrix is just the coefficients. So x is 1, 4y is 4, 6z is 6, and then I have my line for the augmentation with a negative 5. Line 2, 2x, I write down a 2, y is a 1, negative z is negative 1, and then my answer, 9. 3x is 3, negative y is negative 1, 5z is just 5, and then I have negative 2. So as I'm looking at doing Gaussian elimination, my first priority is my first column. And my first column, I want to change it into 1, 0, 0. Luckily, the first entry, first column is a 1, so that's a big check that's already done. I move on to the 2 and the 3. I want the 2 and the 3 both to go away. What I'm thinking about is if I have 2, I can add negative 2, that gives me 0. With 3, if I were able to add negative 3, then I would have 0. So that's my plan, is to create a negative 2 and a negative 3 to make the 2 and 3 go away. So I get the negative 2 and negative 3 by manipulating the first row. So the 1, I change it into a negative 2 by saying let's do negative 2 times the first row, and I'm going to add it to my second row. Same thing in the third row. I think multiply the first row by negative 3. And then I can add it to the third row. Okay, so now that I have my plan in place, I'm going to just start writing down what these things are. It's good to write things down, that way if you make a mistake, you'll be able to see it. If you try to do things in your head, you won't be able to look back on what happened and catch your mistake. So up here, on top of the first row, I'm just going to write down what negative 2 times R1 is. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. 6 times negative 2 is negative 12. And then negative 5 times negative 2 is positive 10. Same thing down here underneath the third row. I'm going to write negative 3 times R1. 1 times negative 3, negative 3. 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. 6 times negative 3 is negative 18, and then negative 5 times negative 3 is a positive 15. Not a bad idea to go back and just review what you just did, make sure all your signs are okay. It's easy to drop a sign. You drop a sign, the whole thing falls apart. So don't be afraid to go slow on these and just make sure you're getting the right answer. All right. Now we're ready to do those two additions that we planned for. The first row does not change. It's 1, 4, 6, negative 5. So the second row, I have negative 2 plus 2, that gives me 0. Negative 8 plus 1 gives me negative 7. Negative 12 plus 1 gives me negative 13. And then 10 plus 9 is 19. Moving on to the third row, I have negative 3 and 3 is 0. Negative 12 and negative 1 is negative 13. Negative 18 and 5 is negative 13. And then 15 and negative 2 is positive 13. So now I'm looking back and thinking, okay, what's my next step? My next step is I would really like this number here, the second row, second entry, to become a 1 and then have a 0 underneath. So if you were paying attention to view an example, help me solve this, they would say, well, divide that by negative 7, turn it into a 1. But what I happen to notice is that this third row looks really awesome. It has negative 13, and 13. So I think that's a better row to deal with right now. I can divide by 13 and I'm not going to have any fractions. So let's just go ahead and do that, and then I'll show you what the next step would be. So right here, I'm going to say negative 1 over 13 times R3. So anytime I just have something by one row, it means the other two rows are not changing. I have 1, 4, 6, negative 5. I have 0, negative 7, 13 with 19. And see how I left that negative off? Let's put it back in. So second row, 0, negative 7, negative 13, positive 19. And then the last row I'm dividing by negative 13. So I have 0, I have 1, I have 1, I have negative 1. Okay. Now I created a 1 in the second column, but it's in the third row, so I'm just going to switch R2 and R3. So once again, 1, 4, 6, negative 5 looks great. I'm switching this as 0, 1, 1, negative 1. That's my new R2. And then I have 0, negative 7, negative 13, and 19. Okay. So now I have my 1 in the first row, first column, 2 in the second row, second column. I want to have a 0 underneath that 1. To make the negative 7 go away, I'm going to add 7. So I'm going to have 7 times R2 plus R3. Okay, so I'm just going to write up here 7 times R2. This is 0, 7, 7, negative 7. Okay. First row, 1, 4, 6, negative 5. And I apologize, my dog is running around like crazy and Squeak intertwined in the background, but if I put her outside, she's going to bark, so try to ignore her. The second row, still the same, 0, 1, 1, negative 1. And then now I'm adding this 0, 7, 7, negative 7. So 0 and 0 is 0. 7 and negative 7 is 0. 7 and negative 13, that's negative 6. Negative 7 with 19, that's positive 12. Okay. So for Gaussian, my final thing I need to do is make this third row, third column into a 1. I always get 1s by dividing, I get 0s by adding. So here I want to do negative 1 over 6 times R3. So I keep my 1, 4, 6, negative 5. I keep the 0, 1, 1, negative 1. Now I have 0, 0, 1, negative 2. I'm done with Gaussian, sort of. I'm done with the REF part of Gaussian. I still have a little more to do to find the solution. So we put in an augmented matrix. We take the augmented matrix, put it in the REF form. Now I can see this 0, 0, 1, negative 2, that's my row 3, means Z is negative 2. I know one of the 3 unknowns. Moving up, 1, 1, negative 1, the 0 I didn't say, 0, 1, 1, negative 1 means Y plus Z is negative 1. So I'm going to back substitute. I'm going to take this negative 2 and I'm going to put it in this equation. So this is Y plus negative 2 is negative 1. I'm going to push that 2 over, so now Y is positive 1. Okay. Moving up a little more, this says X plus 4Y plus 6Z is negative 5. So this is that back substituting part. X I don't know. Y I just found out was 1. And Z we know is negative 2. Altogether that should give me negative 5. That says X plus 4 minus 12 is negative 5. Here's X. 4 minus 12 is minus 8. That's negative 5. So I'm going to push that 8 over to find out X is 3. So my solution to this set of equations is 3, 1, negative 2.